Better not doing words. Better not doing words. Good morning. Welcome to our service, Unitarian Universalist Church of Augusta, for August 16, 2020, the year of the plague. I think when we were all kids, we thought that if we ever made it to 2020, we'd all be flying around in jetpacks and living on the moon. And I don't think we ever imagined a time when poor people would be fat, and rich people would be skinny, and you would have to wear a mask to go into a bank or a store. So if you're still here, and if you're still watching our services online, that means you are hardcore. You are one of us. We are very glad that you're here with us this Sunday. Our board member, Quentin Davis, will start us off with some announcements. Quentin Davis.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to see everybody here. This is exciting to have live services. I'm Quentin Davis. I am the board president, and just have a couple announcements about things going on, things that you should be aware of. The building, the UUCA building, is actually still closed to association meetings, and so there are a couple groups that have been approved. You may or may not know that we have a task force for reopening, and that group is reviewing any requests to use the church space, and that includes the type of activity, whether that's singing or meeting or what have you, fellowship, whether the group is using masks and the cleaning protocol. So we're watching that very carefully. We do not have a reopening date as of now. We decided not to put a particular date on the calendar. So instead, we are looking at multiple factors of COVID cases in the counties of Aiken, Richmond, and Columbia, and monitoring those cases as a way to determine when it will be appropriate to open the building again. So just be confident that we are looking at that, and we'll share that with you as things change and evolve. There are two upcoming events, however, that have been approved. One is a blood drive for Shepherd Blood Center. That will be in our common room on the 26th of August. Shepherd will be doing COVID testing at the door before donors can come in, and donors must wear a mask. But this is a great way to help out our community in a very serious time of need. And so if you are willing and able to donate, please contact info@shepherdblood.org. You can also find that on the e-announcements. They're offering a voucher for Marco's Pizza, and thanks for your donation. So please consider giving there. Also next month, we have a repeat visit from Rita's Italian Ice. So Sunday, the 27th of September, in the late afternoon outside, we'll have Rita's Italian Ice truck to provide some nice cold treats for us. You may have heard about the Four Seasons Jazz Concert. That has been tentatively postponed until September, and we'll be kind of re-looking at the ability for us to carry that out safely, and we'll probably postpone that until we feel like that is safe. So just keep your eyes on the e-announcements, please, for that. And last announcements, if you can join us, please stay after the service today for fellowship over this Zoom meeting. It was a great time last week to catch up with everybody, socialize, and just kind of see what is happening in people's lives. So please bring your coffee or tea or what have you, and stick around for a little bit after the service. There will also be a breakout discussion of the sermon today, When Things Fall Apart, with Reverend Don. And so if you can join at that at 12:30, that would be wonderful too. Thank you, and I will send it back to Chris.
Thank you, Quentin. The Bible says, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. It doesn't say anything about singing good. So rise in body or spirit as you are able, and make a joyful noise unto the Lord, however you imagine that to be. David Natchez leading us in our opening hymn, number 38, Morning Has Broken.
Good morning, everybody. I'm thrilled to be with you, and I'm glad that people are watching and participating. We are going to make a joyful noise this morning. Our opening hymn is number 38, Morning Has Broken, and I'll try to play some of those piano things that people like to hear from the recording. So please sing along, make sure you're on mute, and here we go, Morning Has Broken. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the world. Sweet the rains do fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise for the sweetness of the wet morning, God's recreation of the new day.
Thank you, David. Please be seated wherever you are. Our chalice words this morning are from Christine Robinson. In times of grief, we light a flame of sharing, the flame of ongoing life. In this time when we search for understanding and serenity in the face of confusion and loss, we light this sign of our quest for truth, meaning, and community.
Let's do our opening words now. And before we do, I'd like to say that it doesn't pass me by that the sermon title, When Things Fall Apart, applies to my shoulder as well. And what I would like to thank all the outpouring of this congregation. The pastoral care team will medically take care of me, and it seems like the whole church is cooking for me. And I am just overwhelmed with this love that you're showing me, and I'm very thankful. Our opening words are from George Odell. It's entitled, We Need One Another, an appropriate title for my circumstances, and it's from our great hymnal. I'll read it as a unison reading. We need one another when we mourn and would be comforted. We need one another when we are in trouble and are afraid. We need one another when we are in despair, in temptation, and need to be recalled to our best selves again. We need one another when we would accomplish some great purpose and cannot do it alone. We need one another in the hour of success, when we look for someone to share our triumphs. We need one another in the hour of defeat, when the encouragement we might endure and stand again. We need one another when we come to die, and would have gentle hands prepare us for the journey. All our lives we are in need, and others are in need of us.
This morning, our joys and sorrows. Okay. Where's the chalice slide? Should I say the chalice words again?
Just when this is over, then start going to joys and concerns.
Yes.
It's okay. We can just move on. It's we went out of order.
Okay.
So Pat's next.
Pat Lynch Hayes will help us with our joys and sorrows this morning.
Good morning. Now is the time in our service when we are invited to share the joys and sorrows that have recently come into our lives. We first remember those who cannot be with us today. We also remember those in military service and their families. And find thoughts to all of us who are holding joys and sorrows in their hearts.
This is the time of our service where we have our meditation together. Still, it's always been really my favorite part of the service ever since I first showed up here. We have a little meditation group that meets virtually these days online, which is led by E. McNabb and Melanie Roberts. Anybody interested, please contact me or E. McNabb. Last Monday, E brought a video that really struck me. And as soon as I saw it, I knew I wanted to share it with everybody. And so this morning, our meditation service is going to be led by the great meditation master from Vietnam, Thich Nhat Hanh. So this is a video. It comes from YouTube. This is a musical composition that is sung by Thich Nhat Hanh in Vietnamese and English. And this video is called The End of Suffering. And I found it very moving and very useful to connect with. So please prepare yourself if you can. Take a deep breath. On the exhale, count 2. Take a deep breath, and on the exhale, count 3. Take one more inhale, and on the exhale, count 4. And now, Thich Nhat Hanh will lead us in our meditation this morning.
Can you imagine how differently you would show up to write your book if you knew for sure it was going?
Go ahead.
Worked in rehearsal. Maybe we ought to just skip it.
No, we try again. Go ahead. Cue it up. Damn it, no way.
Okay, well, put me back on. We'll keep going here.
There must be a time to doing all this stuff.
Okay, well, moving right along. The video, if you would like to see it, YouTube, The End of Suffering, Thich Nhat Hanh. Last Saturday, the pastoral care team brought a lot of us to South Carolina Welcome Center, where we gathered to virtually celebrate at a discreet distance the 90th birthday of 2 of our founding members, Betty and Don Huckstetter. We brought flowers and balloons and birthday cards, and we caravanned over to their house. And we had a chance to honor them in public, and we had a chance, most of all, to see each other again. It was hard not to hug each other. But it was just such a joy to see us together as a people, to see people we haven't seen for a long time, and to remember each other. There are so many people right now who are making an effort to hold our little tribe and our church together at this time right now. It's not so easy, but we're grateful for all of us here who have stepped up. And we need you to step up at this time also. Whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do the great work of this congregation. And now the offering will be gratefully received and offered. Thank you, David. Our sermon this morning is titled, ironically, When Things Fall Apart. Reverend Don. Reverend Don.
Hi, everyone. I forgot to unmute myself, so I'm falling in line with everyone else this morning. For the sermon, our lives are a little like an ad in England for a lost cat. Lost cat, old, mangy, one-eyed, limped, neutered, crippled. Answers to the name Lucky. That combination of falling apart and being lucky is where we actually live. We are lucky to be alive. On the other hand, there are times when things fall apart. Death, divorce, illness, chronic pain, aging, losing a job, and now COVID-19 pandemic that has turned our lives and our congregation upside down. And there are times when our ordinary depressions become extraordinary, and there's nowhere to hide. The tendency of things to fall apart is one of the great insights of Buddhism. Simply, that suffering is a part of life. As the Irish poet W.B. Yeats puts it, things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Often we are told to make lemonade from the lemons of life. But can we? Can we do it every time? How much fortitude can we expect? There are limits to what we can take. For us to expect courage in the face of calamity may be inspiring, but at times it is simply unrealistic. So what do we do when things fall apart? I'd like to share a bit of my own life. I grew up in a violent alcoholic family, and I grew up in the Episcopal Church, and the minister took time to mentor me, and he saved me, Webb Simons. And I am so, so grateful for his mentorship. And of course, I was lost in high school. But my English teacher, Millie, looked out for me. And from her, I learned my love of literature and writing. I even would go over to her house and play for her John Lennon's first solo album. Out of these circumstances, I arrived in college fearing a failure. And Bruce, my favorite professor and even friend at the time, really helped me out and really mentored me. And I did more than well in college. And then in my career, when I was in Maryland, I hopped on a roller coaster. Heart attack, bypass surgery, divorce. My career ended because of my plagiarism, and it was a dark hole that I lived in Providence, Rhode Island. I almost became a street person. And I had the experience of a desperation of going to two clergy people I knew for help as my last resort, and how painful and humiliating that they couldn't do anything for me. And it has helped me when people come to me, and I know there's nothing I can really do for them. Enter Carl Scoville, who became my mentor when I was on probation for plagiarism and actually was able to win back my career with the Ministerial Fellowship Committee. And Carl Scoville is still a dear friend, and we talk every month. And he's a retired minister and minister emeritus of King's Chapel in Boston. And then my very first interim ministry out in California, this ex-Catholic priest walked into the sanctuary when I was there alone and asked if he could make an announcement in church that he led this, what he called Phoenix Project, which was a spiritual development of healing, a group. And I joined the group. And Jack became my mentor as well and helped me coming to terms with my dad and my loss of my marriage. So what do we do when things fall apart? I have three things in mind. Know when to ask for help. It is good to be able to reach within for strength, but it is also good to know when to reach out for help that can only come from others. How hard this can be for those of us who are fiercely independent, like myself. How difficult it is to ask for help. But what a mark of courage to be able to do so when we need to. To be honest, every mentor I shared with you saw more promise in me than I ever did. Where would I be without them? 2, seek out a caring community to which we give ourselves in our needs. Our congregation is a beautiful opportunity, as expressed in our opening words. We truly need one another when we mourn, when we are in trouble and afraid, when we are in despair, in temptation, when we would accomplish some great task and cannot do it alone, when we look for someone to share our triumphs, when we are in our hour of defeat, and when we come to die. All of our lives are in need, and others are in need of us. 3, have faith that healing can and does happen. Unitarian Universalist poet Pasha Gertler writes about the healing time. Finally, on my way to yes, I bumped into all the places where I said no to my life, all the untended wounds, the red and purple scars, those hieroglyphics of pain carved into my skin, my bones, those coded messages that sent me down the wrong street again and again where I find them. The old wounds, the old misdirections. And I lift them one by one close to my heart. And I say, holy, holy. Living life is like flying an airplane blind with no means of navigation, especially now during this pandemic, a virus we don't really fully understand. We seem to have no bearings. Our hearts sink and we become depressed, even afraid. So when things fall apart, as they tend to do, may we have faith in ourselves, each other, faith in the healing, and may we have faith in life itself. And yes, don't forget the lost cat, old, mangy, one-eyed, limped, neutered, crippled, answers to the name Lucky. Blessed be.
What happened to the closing words? Our closing hymn this morning is 295, Sing Out Praises for the Journey.
Sing out praises for the journey, pilgrims we who carry on, searchers in the soul's deep yearning, like our forebears in their time. We seek out the Spirit's fullness in the endless humankind. Look inside your souls, the kindling of the heart's fire, pilgrims. Find the Spirit, always restless, find it in each mind and heart. Touch and hold the ancient yearning, kindling for a not bound truth. Stand we now upon the threshold, facing futures yet unknown. Hearth behind us, wayside hostel, built by those who knew wild roads. Guard we ere their sacred members carry in our mind and hearts.
Our closing words are from the song, The Rock Will Wear Away by Holly Near and Meg Christian. Can we be like drops of water falling on the stone, splashing, breaking, dispersing in air, weaker than stone by far, but be aware, as time goes by, the rock will wear away, and the water comes again.
Blessed be, go in peace.
Our postlude today is by Japanese composer Takashi Yoshimatsu, and he has a very interesting style. It's a little bit modern, it's a little bit jazzy, and it's very much his own, and he's written many, many short, very beautiful pieces, and here is one by him. Have a great Sunday.